Hi, friends. Welcome to your Persona 5 Spoilercast.
Yeah.
Better late than never, right? Yeah. And I feel like we did time it well with all of the news that was announced today, but we'll get to that later. I'm your host, Joey Noel. I have a star-studded panel of industry friends here today. To my immediate left, immediate right, whatever the joke is.
Whatever the joke is. Yeah.
I have Mr. Barrett Courtney.
Did some? Thank you. Did someone mention pancakes?
How long have you been thinking about that joke?
So too long. Ever since I was working at IGN, I was like, maybe we'll do a Persona 5 Spoilercast there, and we didn't.
Nope. To his right, we have Lucy James from GameSpot. And then to her right, we have Jonathon Dornbush from IGN.
Screw you.
So this is a panel of people that are very passionate and excited about Persona. So we're excited to talk about all these things with you. Was a lot of homework because it's been a little while since we played these.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah, because you reviewed it for GameSpot, correct?
That was my first and last big review for GameSpot because I kind of moved away from that kind of stuff after, but I was really glad that I got to dig into Persona 5.
Yeah.
I did everything, like all the guides, cutting the video review. So I was immersed in that game for 2 solid months because we got it really early.
Holy cow.
It was a great 2 months.
And then I feel like the three of us played it all around at the same time because I remember I was late on that train.
Yeah, that was like fall 2017.
That was, for us, I was working at IGN at the time, and so we got it. It was always weird to me because it was supposed to come out February 14th, 2017 in the West, and then we got it that day, but then it was delayed 2 months. So I always thought that was interesting. So yeah, I got assigned to it, not knowing really anything about Persona. I referenced it as like one of my friends, Alex O'Neill, is like, it's like a weeaboo game that Alex O'Neill likes. And then 10 hours in, I was like, holy fuck, I think I really like this game. And so yeah, I had to do a lot of like gameplay clips and whatnot for IGN, and then helped with like gameplay for the video review, and then had to do the first 20 hours again on my own save at home.
But it was worth it.
And then I burnt out. And so when I got through the first 20 hours again, I burnt out, didn't play it until August later that year. So yep.
Yeah.
I think I jumped in somewhere around like September of 2017, like somewhere around that time when you started to jump back in. It was one of those things where like I worked directly across from our Lord and Savior of Persona, Andrew Goldfarb.
The Andrew Goldfarb memorial picture.
Rest in
cool,
peace.
Greg.
Show
maybe
it,
if
cool,
we
Greg,
cut to
show
this.
it. Yeah. Oh.
Rest in peace forever. we may have him popping up for some. But you'll have to wait and see.
He just appears from behind the desk.
No, I know. I wish we could, but he maybe left us some tidbits before he went to go switch over to his new job and left us.
Yeah, before he died.
Yeah, before he died.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had sitting across from him, obviously I heard about Persona all the time, heard about how amazing it was, and believed him, but it's one of those things where you're told something is so amazing so much, you're kind of reticent to jump into it.
Yeah.
You're like, it can't be as good as you're telling me.
It was just like, I'm sure it's great, and because he was really trying to play to the like, you like Kingdom Hearts, you will like this, they're not exact, but there is a similar like thing that you'll like there, and I was like, okay, we'll see, and I was super busy, and then it came time as we were getting closer to like Game of the Year discussions were starting, and he was like, hey, we just got a bunch of codes. Here it is. Play this. I had nothing to do that weekend. And it was that thing of I put it in and played like 10, 15 hours that first weekend and loved it. But what actually made me love it was, and it was a very Kingdom Hearts moment for me, was the intro. When I let the full intro play with just like the most beautifully stylized music video and this awesome song. And it was the same with like when I first played Kingdom Hearts, and that opening was like this amazing song and this incredible like video. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to love this. And that was like where I started.
Yeah, the first like couple seconds of wake up, get out there is just like, oh shit, this is cool.
It's so cool, and it's why it's my alarm still to this day.
Oh man, I respect that.
Because and I feel like mine was that we had all been hanging out a fair amount, and at that point I had heard you all because like Zach was playing and Alana was playing, and like everyone was talking about it, and I was like, dang it, am I really going to start playing this? Because I've never, this is like really the first like JRPG I've ever played. And I was like, and hearing that it was 100 hours was super daunting. I was like, this seems like a lot. But I started it over Thanksgiving when we had a couple extra days off.
There you go.
And I like flew through those first 10 or 15 hours and then that's pretty much all I did for Christmas break too.
That like 100-hour thing that I kept hearing was one of the things that also kept me away from it. Because I was always like, I'm not going to have time for a 100-hour game, like one of those things. But then,
once you get through the first palace and like you realize like, oh, that was like 10, 12 hours. Only 90 to go. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's the thing though. When I was playing, I had no idea. Because I'd played Persona 4 and I think I'd put, I don't know, I did that on a commute, so maybe 60 plus hours into it. I was like, okay, I can kind of see. And then I hit that mark and I was like, oh, there's no sign of slowing down here, is
I
there?
feel like we're right in the middle still. Because at that point, you don't even know any of the twist or anything like that.
No.
Like, that all is significantly later. So you just keep trekking on at that point.
I was just that person who just spent all night playing it and then would, put the save on the cloud, come in the next day to work, sit at my desk all day, and then just go home and just play it. And it was, 2-3 weeks of that.
That's wild.
I can't imagine playing that like straight through. Yeah. Because mine for sure was over months. I think I took like a month break and didn't finish it till like February probably.
Yeah, I took a break in there too.
I think I beat it like because I was doing a guest list for okbeast.com of like a top 10 games of the year, and I wanted to beat it before the end of the year so I could like decide.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be my game of the year, but I wanted to just like see it through, and I think I beat it like on December 30th or some shit like that. Like,
I hadn't even beaten it, and we were trying this insurgency in the IGN Game of the Year voting pool, where I'm like trying to get enough people to play it and to vote for Game of the Year because it was a numbers game, and we were
totally games of Thrones in it.
Because it was going to be split between Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, right? You were splitting like the Nintendo vote.
What happened with us? We got Persona into number 2. We got Breath of the Wild in at 1, and then it was going to be Odyssey, and then a few of us just kind of went, hey, but what about Persona 5?
Don't get me wrong. Breath of the Wild is a landmark achievement in game design and Nintendo's history and gaming history. I love Persona so much.
It's like, all this stuff. Ryuji's fucking cool.
It's true. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'm not. We'll hash out all our feelings. Clearly, I don't. I don't not like him. He's just so over the top.
Yeah.
Like he's a lot to handle, and I don't feel like he has a ton of character development.
He says shit a lot. Like he just like unnecessarily is like, shit, man, why are we doing this?
I feel like he had a lot of character development when you go through his story. Yeah.
That's a question that one of our patrons put in. It might take me too long to scroll through it. But one of the questions was, do you feel like all of the characters kind of stopped having a lot of development after you got through their palace or like related storyline? Which I do agree with, but I also don't know how you would continue to evolve so many characters.
Yeah.
I think they
simultaneously
had less individual focus, but then the group focus got more refined and the group dynamics got worked out. So I can kind of agree.
It's a lot to balance on a story level because you are doing not just the party member group, but every confidant possibilities storyline has to be serviced, but also the main storyline has to be served. Like there's,
it's already 100 hours.
It's 7 seasons of a television show in a single game, and so when you're doing that, there are naturally going to be some that suffer, and also it depends on like when you decide to give focus to things. Like there were some characters who I just straight up ignored for 30 hours because I forgot to.
Hard.
Which, and I feel like she got the short end of the stick because she just, I feel like
she
got
comes in so late
introduced. And at that point I had kind of had like my party figured out and I didn't really care enough to.
The exception to the rule I would say is Futaba actually, because Futaba you get a 1-2 punch or 1-2-3 punch because you have her palace, and then you have her confidant level, and then you have the coffee shop owner. I forget his name.
Sojura.
Yeah, because the more you get to learn and grow with him, the closer you get to her, and the more that trio starts to feel like a family. And I know the end of that like confidant level thing, I was like, I did not expect at the beginning of this game this asshole who was driving me to school, like I would fall in love with this man. And
he's such a good heart.
Yeah.
That one I think is probably like the best example of the storytelling, especially in the translated version of it, because obviously there are some differences in how things get translated. But I think they're like the complexity of that 3-part relationship in that family is one of the best structured like side relationship things you get in the game.
It pays off so well.
Yeah. And I just like Futaba's like storyline kind of in general of like, I feel like she's super relatable in the fact that like she's isolated and she finds like a lot of comfort in being on the internet. And like, I know that's where I found a lot of community and going through like mental health struggles and all that stuff. Like she hits a lot of points and I'm like, girl, That's why I think that she's
Yeah,
best
when
girl, even though I would not date her because that's kind of
Too young.
No.
too little.
She's
sister.
best girl, but she's also like the little sister, you know.
sure.
But yeah, when you get through her story, that was like, shit. Like this is me in the game because everybody is like, I'm like this person, and I was like, nah, that Futaba is literally like what I do, and it hit hard.
I was definitely like Yusuke the most, I would say.
Yeah.
You're just a Renaissance
I was
painter.
the Yusuke guy.
Let's see. Okay, so Lucy, you said that you had played through Persona 4 Golden, I assume.
Yes.
So you'd done through that. Have either of you played through Persona 4?
I started Golden when it first came out for Vita, but I was in the middle of college and was kind of just like, I don't have time for this. I like just became editor of my newspaper, and I'm like, I have too many like real life responsibilities to maintain. So I bounced from that. I've always wanted to go back, but this was like the first I played.
Yeah. And Barrett?
Persona 5 is my first Persona game. I do have a Vita somewhere in my bedroom, and I refuse to pick it up because the Vita's just the worst.
You're the worst.
I don't disagree.
PS TV.
We literally had this conversation earlier today.
Like $200. I looked
Are they really?
$50, dude. It's
I wish I had that
wild.
one.
Because there was for so long where they were like $20.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should go check the IGN offices if there's one like
I
that.
did the same thing
Yeah.
and cleared out.
I'm sure.
Damn.
Yeah. That's like our GameCube library. I swear people took from it like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Half our GameCube games are gone.
It was a wild, wild west back in the IGN days of Greg Miller.
Yeah, I know. I still have it. I had
a lot
it.
of GameCube games here.
Don't look too hard. It's the same thing. It's like I started it right after I finished Persona 5, but then at that point I was like too much Persona.
I was gonna say, I wonder how that would feel because it's very different.
I only ever made it like 10 hours in because I was like, this is just too much Persona overall. It didn't have anything to do. Like there are some like weird gameplay mechanics that aren't as
like going back to an older iteration.
fluid. Yeah.
Are the dungeons in that one, are they randomly generated?
No.
Or-
No.
Procedurally.
Procedurally,
It's all kind of, but they all
From
look
a
identical.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's nothing near the level of care, and there's no puzzles really or anything. There's occasionally a locked door and I have to kill a specific shadow and get the key or something. But it's Persona 4, I think, because I was commuting at the time. I had a weird commute and I was living an hour and a half away from the office, and so I would just spend all that time playing Persona 4, but it took me. So when I wasn't doing it on the commute, I picked it up and I played it for about half of it, and then I put it down for a year.
Ooh.
Then I picked it back up again, and then I blasted through the end.
Did you start over or did you keep going?
I kept going, I believe.
Impressive.
Yeah. Because I think Persona 4 just, I don't know, something about the characters that really resonated with me, and I really loved them. And it was my first Persona game, and so I don't know. And then 5, and I was like, oh my God, they've just improved everything.
Yeah. I feel like everyone, even today when we were tweeting about the 5R news, it's like, you haven't played 4 Golden yet, and it's everyone talks about how good the characters are and all that stuff. So I think at some point I'll get to it and maybe push through those
They should
first
just
10
put
hours.
it on PS4.
Right?
They
If it was on
should.
any other platform, I feel like I would play it.
Yeah.
There's a way better chance. Or maybe just bring everything to Switch. That'd be great.
Be cool. Real cool.
So yeah. How long did it take everybody to beat? I'm just curious.
85.
85. I think I was 94.
I was in the 90s, I want to say. Yeah.
I want to say I was like 110.
Did you just like do everything?
No, but I did a lot. But there was
Yeah.
also like talking to Goldfarb was like a lot that I didn't do.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I also think there's a couple of things that I remember being stuck on as well. The spaceship dungeon was definitely, the palace was not, was kind of a frustrating design for me of like trying to figure shit out.
Which
so
airlock do I take?
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Take me to the right place.
Everyone had told me how rough that was, so I just had our guide open at IGN.
I used a guide for that too.
Because I don't want this struggle at this point. But
yeah, and I think there's a good spot where I was grinding a lot in Mementos, not to like clear every level in Mementos, but to like go around and just level grind and stuff.
So I remember when I was playing, we'd already had a preview code in about a month before we got final code of Kamoshida's Palace. Not Kamoshida.
The first
one,
yeah.
Kamoshida.
And so I'd played that dungeon already, and so when I was playing it again, a month later, I was like, well, I can just blast through this.
Yeah.
So I did. And then when it came to Mementos, I think that was the only thing that Andrew had told me. He said, do it as you go along.
Yeah.
Don't let it pile up at the end, because then you're just going to have to grind, because you need to get all the way down to the bottom.
Right.
So every time I would get a request through on the fan side, I would go in. and just clear it.
Got those
Kind of
Goldfarb
helped.
hot tips.
It was the only one. The only one.
That's valid.
I didn't want him to spoil anything. Oh, thank you. Didn't want anything else really spoiled.
From kindafunny.com. No, patreon.com/kindafunnygames.
There you go.
Alex Bobko wants to know, it's been a while since I've played the game, but the one thing I do remember is how much I hated Okamura's palace, the spaceport. So you have a friend there. What palace did you hate, dislike the most? And then Christina asks, what palace left the biggest impression on you? I have a very fast answer for the one I hated the most, which is the cruise ship one. Solely, only, I really liked because that's Say's palace, correct? No? Yes?
No, that's the
She had something.
She's the casino.
She's the casino. The boat is the bald dude.
Yeah.
Cheetos.
Yeah.
Cheetah, there we go. Fuck that part where you turn into a mouse. That was my least favorite part.
I forgot about that.
Even though the mice with the little masks, very cute.
Very
but
cute.
like that mechanic, I was just like, I hate this. I don't understand it. My brain isn't working.
That one's
and at
really
that point, you're
long,
at the
too.
end.
Yeah.
It's the last palace. So I don't know if it's actually the longest palace or if it just feels really
like
long. Because I do feel like at that point, I was like, okay, I want to wrap this up a little bit.
Yeah. I think least favorite spaceport, but my favorite was Madarame because that's the
that
one
one's
where
so cool.
you feel like you're a thief because you're
Yeah.
going through the art gallery, and I was like, oh, this is
Yeah, that's a good one. I also like the gangster dude who's related to
The bank one?
Yeah, the
that's
bank
good.
vault.
That one was
That's a
super
nice one.
cool.
Yeah. And then besides the spaceport, I don't know if this really counts as a palace, but the kind of end blast to the final boss, where you're just going up in a line and fighting all
mini
of
boss.
the,
Yeah, that was
up to the final boss, which was also a pain in the ass, and it was just like
That's the part where I like continually just got my ass kicked.
yeah.
Then you'll love the end of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, great! I still have like the last 5 hours to play
Oh,
that.
no.
I really liked the bank vault, except for the boss, just because he was the only one where I felt like it was just hammer him until he gives up. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
other bosses,
Yeah.
I loved Madarame's because that boss. The boss fight was also a puzzle in figuring out how to do that, and I loved that bit. I really like just on a design level, like the casino is just so my jam.
The casino is
Yeah.
my
House
favorite
always
too.
wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shadow Say is like one of my favorite visual characterizations of like she has that cool dress and the yellow eyes and the hat and she just looks so fabulous and I love her. Yeah, that one. I don't know if there's one other. I really like the first palace too.
Kamoshida's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really good.
It
It's a
leaves
really
a good
smart
like a
opening.
first impression kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's not too complex, but it gives you an idea of like what these can be.
totally. Let's see, what else do we have? Well, let's just jump to the question that was by far the most asked in all of our stuff. Who's best girl? Or who did you end up dating, or who did you accidentally end up dating? Everything.
Makoto.
So best girl is
Andrew.
Makoto.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, she kind of came in after, in my head, I already committed to Anne. And so I was like, I'm going to be good and I'm going to see this through to the end. I don't want to hurt Anne.
Yeah.
And then the whole time I was like, I wish I was with Makoto.
Yep.
I had the same thing where I was dating On at first. I was led astray. I was like, On. And then I realized I think I was dating On in the game because she was like the girls who had said no to me in high school when I asked them out.
Yeah.
I think it was just like, I can ask them out in the game.
Yeah.
though.
I get my second chance.
Yeah, but so that's how my life was going at the time when I started Persona. But I also then came around to Makoto, and even though I had gotten to the end of the dating line with On, I was like, I'm just going to keep going on the dating line with Makoto also.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and I feel like I didn't realize going through the game that like I'd kind of accidentally ended up dating On. Like I was like, oh, I don't think I really have a choice now. Like this is not what I meant to stumble into, because I don't know that I necessarily would have gone that route.
Sure.
Gotcha.
What I really fucked up on is I really wanted to date the hot goth doctor.
Yeah.
But her, I feel like her dialogue choices are way harder than any of the others. So
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
know. I need to go back and. I need to have a plan for next time I play this.
For
Inevitably.
Hot goth doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very tempted by the goth doctor for a while, and then. I never really saw as a love interest. I thought like in my head, like main character and her were like kind of like a brother sister type, like best like homie type of vibes. Same with Ryuji, of course. Because I always thought in my head like Ryuji and An should date. Like they'd be a cute couple.
I ship that.
Even when you date on, she's not good to you. Like she kind of like ditches you for things, or like you're a last resort for like when she has other,
when
like,
she's doing like the
modeling.
modeling.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
I guess I'll
Career
also
focus.
kiss you.
But yeah, and then it was like the more I learned about Makoto, I was like, oh, very like prim, proper, nerdy schoolgirl who, when she strays from that, is a badass. I'm literally
Granger.
dating that in real life, so I can't not do that, I guess. So yeah.
She's very Hermione.
Yeah. And she's a fucking. Her persona's a fucking motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
She has the coolest persona by far.
Yep.
I love her. Haru, I feel like came in too late in the game to really.
She didn't really
be a-
register for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in this new iteration of Persona 5 with the Royal, when
get this
the
new
sin
girl.
that is Morgana that turns into human, maybe they date.
Hot cat boy.
Hot cat
Barrett,
boy.
you're on the wrong side of history.
No, it's fucking weird. Look at my cute little boy right here. I don't want to see him be a hot man. He's just a tiny little
Is
cute
it
cat.
Morgana in all
because you
forms.
might be a cat person now? I know. It's a lot. You gotta confront a lot of things about yourself with this new characterization.
What about non-party people though? Like outside of people that you actually fought alongside, who would be like best girl or I guess like favorite character for you
I
guys?
really liked Hifumi.
Is she the
Yeah,
The
reporter?
show-
shogi player.
player.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought that her not max or her like abilities were really cool of like being able to swap out your party members, which I used a lot.
Okay.
So I really liked her, and I liked her storyline of like, this is a thing that my family wants me to do, and I don't really want to do this.
Okay.
This is not my dream, and like kind
cool.
of that whole thing. I didn't do anything with the fortune teller, so I have really no
Same.
idea.
Yeah.
She didn't really. I would kind of blast through her dialogue just because the what you got when you ranked her up was really useful. Like
What was it?
you could pay her a bit of money, and every time you would see another confidant, you would rank up faster. Or
Oh.
you could get more experience faster, or at least when you were upping your star.
I think it helps you like
core
overall.
skills.
Yeah.
So that was super useful. But her story was, she was a psychic, but she was being taken for a ride by
Weird dudes.
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
were trying to make her sell things.
Yeah.
it's
I really liked the reporter. I forget her name.
I didn't love her.
Yeah.
And then there's also, I like the teacher, never in like a romantic way, but like the more you got to learn about her story and like why she was doing this, I was like, oh shit, like this is really sad. So I'm gonna like help you out and like try to like
Yeah.
get you to a better place and whatnot. So that was I really liked that.
Her skill was definitely one of the best. Too, that I
Yeah,
got
like
when
the
you
extra
slapped
activity
up.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah.
yes, it was.
Well, and Takemi too at that point because you got to buy all those accessories. So I always had like the SP generating bracelet or whatever on,
Right.
which helped me like blow through a lot of those palaces a lot faster.
Cool.
I liked her stuff. Who was it? What was your go-to party configuration, if you remember? I looked at it. I know. I looked mine up because I couldn't remember. So it was on Yusuke and Ryuji was for me. I kind of stuck with those like. No, that's not true. It wasn't. It was Makoto, not Ryuji.
One of the two of them were more like physical damage, weren't they?
Ryuji
Well,
was
both
more
of them were,
physical.
but
Yeah.
I'd say like the two regulars like throughout, I would say Makoto and then Morgana.
For heals.
For healing, like that was really important. And I think I would switch, like I was constantly rotating out on Yusuke and Ryuji because I kind of wanted to like have them at the same levels as well. And I found all of their stuff like kind of useful for different stuff.
I feel like I had Morgana, Ryuji. Ann had fire, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was my
Hers was so cool.
Yukiko.
I also did really like her like whip thing.
Yeah, that was
It's
cool.
like
That was
she
cool.
just had a cool costume.
I kept Ryuji the entire time. I don't think I ever took him out of my party because I found lightning was so effective for so much of the game. I think there was like one palace where I swapped him out for like half of it because lightning was being blocked every time. But other than that, I kept Ryuji all the time. Once I got Makoto, I kept her, and especially with Futaba's palace, because like that final battle when you need her, I forgot what the ability is. It's like rain shower, like she had some ability that prevented you from having a status effect that would essentially And I was like, once I needed that, I'm like, oh, she can be that person.
Right.
And then I would swap out on Yusuke and Morgana. We're kind of like rotating.
I wish I could remember like the personas that you would make like for your from MC, because I remember making some cool ones, like going into the Velvet Room and just like fucking around with like what different things you could put together. It was so fun.
The one that's a dick in a chariot.
Oh, no.
That's the best one. That's the best one. That is the best one.
He's in everyone, and I'm like,
I ran into
so
him.
good.
I like distinctly remember I was playing the game at like 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning because I like couldn't sleep the night before. I woke up and I'm like, yeah, I'll play through some. And my girlfriend was asleep, and I saw this creature for the first time and like yelled out like, "Holy shit!" I was living in Kevin's house, so I think I was like, "Oh, please don't like." But it was just like, "Oh, giant dick creature on the screen, cool."
Because they give it an awful name as well.
Yeah.
It's like, the actual persona's name is like Mara, but then when you come across it in the palace, he's got a horrible.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I remember like I remember loving the personas that like I had created, but I can't like think of any of them, which bums me out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some like Jack Frost that kind of go across all games. Just ones, and then there's ones that are that's just a lion with a nice collar on it.
They're so cool.
I remember that one.
Just turn them all into like Pokemon or something like that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm convinced Tim would really like this game.
See, me too. You were trying to talk to him about it earlier.
He was like, nah, bro, 100 hours. I got better shit to do. It's like, whatever. You're going home to like just fucking watch stuff on your Xbox One X.
How many hours did it take you to get all those damn moons, Tim?
Yeah,
you have 100
all
hours.
Those moons, and it took him fucking forever to get all those spirits in Smash or whatever. So this is a Tim Gettys ass game, even though he doesn't want to admit it.
He won't play it, and even though Greg Miller won't finish playing it either. And now we have to wait another year because now he's really not going to play until R comes out, unless it comes out on Switch.
He's not going to play R.
No.
You don't think so?
No, he will only finish that game if it comes to Switch, which I'm still 50-50 on.
We need to bait him into some sort of bet where he's forced to play it.
Otherwise, he's going to be starring in like Star Trek Discovery Season 3 or something.
Who knows what he's up to at that point? The finishing the compendium was like the biggest deterrent for me to.
I don't think
I didn't.
It's part of the platinum because this is like the first game I've ever even like
thought about it.
Let me look to see what it is, and that I didn't know. But that was the thing that if it wasn't for that, I think I might have tried to. But there's so many different personas and
you have
stuff.
to do New Game Plus, I see.
Yeah. But I was like, I think that is beyond my capability. Yeah. And like, how do you tracking all? This seems like a lot of work.
This is one of those games. Like, I love trophies more than I should because I play other games sometimes. But yeah, this was one of those games where I fully accepted, even though Andrew platinumed it in both Japanese before there were guides and then in English.
Crazy person.
I knew I'd never get it.
What was your palace strategy? Like, were you one that immediately went through when you got the calling card, or did you pace yourself out a little bit?
I would get to the point where I would send a calling card, and then I would, as soon as I could, maybe in 1 or 2 nights, if I could, and then I would use the rest of the time to up my stats in the real world and just, like do jobs and build confidence or whatever, and then wait until the last possible moment to send the calling card. Just thinking ahead, like trying
to scheme the system.
I think what I would do is like right when the palace was available, I would run through all of it, send the calling card immediately, and then wouldn't have to worry about the rest of I wouldn't have to worry about the palace until the set date or whatever. So there was a couple palaces where it's just like, all right, now just play through a month of your normal life and like see what's up and stuff. And so that was like, I feel like that gave me a little more chance to explore the outside world and stuff. But I feel like there was a couple of them where they forced you out for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Some puzzles you had to do in the real world in order to unlock. There was one in Madarames, I remember.
Right. And then I think there's like a similar one later on, but I can't remember. So yeah, I would try to get it like all done as fast as possible and then wait for the day like a month later and then do the boss fight. So
I really goofed on the first one because I played it. Like when I went into the palace, I backed out of it and played it over like 3 or 4 in-game days, not knowing that like, I could just keep going.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, my dumb brain was like, there will only be a limited number of like hours I can play in the palace, like because the day goes by. I was like, it'll only take up a little bit of time, like something.
Oh, got it. Not realizing it would just take it didn't matter
like
what you did.
I thought it would take up like the day and the night, and then like some of the other day, like I thought it would cause time to go by for some weird reason.
Right.
And so I told Andrew that I was doing that, and he's like, no, just do it in like one shot and you're fine. And so every palace after that, I would do in just one day. But normally I waited like a week or two in to like, if it was like a 3 or 4 week period, I usually would wait like a week or two and then finish it midway through, because I also didn't love finishing too early, and then it's like 3 weeks of them being like, something's gonna happen soon, hopefully it still works, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna work. I've played 4 palaces now. I know, I know
you
that
get the system.
Yeah,
I would end up, for the first ones, I gave myself a little bit more time in case I didn't make it through and I didn't want to like run out of days, and then I feel like after that I kind of rushed through them and then ended up with like a lot of time on the back end. Did you guys ever get jobs? Did you guys?
Oh yeah.
Which
the flower job.
shop.
Yeah.
Flower shop was great for flirting, I think.
yeah.
Because wasn't Ann always down there? Was she like?
Yeah, she was
that
always
her
shopping
spot?
around there. I don't think I did much besides that though. There was the ramen shop.
I did the ramen
shop. I didn't do that
Yeah.
one.
I think I went to the convenience store for a while.
Oh yes,
okay.
I did that for a little bit.
I did the ramen shop because there's also the political speaker who you need to have that job to further like be able to talk to him and start his confidant thing. Forgot what
I never
ability
did anything with him. I kind of
did the first two
forgot.
and dropped
he
him.
was really easy to
Yeah.
do. Like
Yeah.
his story wasn't that involved.
Yeah. I forgot what
just
he was
didn't
able to
care
do,
about
like
him.
what he added to like what your abilities or whatnot. I felt like
We'll
it was
never
important. I felt like the second or third level of him though, like did something pretty useful, and then I just didn't bother to finish through it.
It was the first one that pops up.
giving us those page views.
Yeah, I totally 100% completely forgot about him. What was his name? Do we know?
Mr. Political Speaker Man.
Mr. Political
I don't
Speaker
remember.
Man. These are the list.
Hey, what's up?
Additional.
How you doing?
I did the ramen shop a bit, but Barrett, stop mugging at the camera.
Y'all are figuring shit out.
I'm talking to you. now.
Okay, fuck.
Not a job wise, but I did the Big Bang Burger like 30 times.
Oh
it
my
was just-
God,
It
yeah.
was so.
It was
worth
it was a good grind for like those
One of the
threes. There's like the one where you could get like 3 different stats and stuff.
It was so useful, and even if I wasn't great at it, it was still worth like if I really couldn't do something for an afternoon or evening, it was worth wasting an evening on.
It was because I was so dedicated to try to get to the 10th level of Hot Goth Doctor, and you needed like
You need to max out everything.
You needed, like max out like 3 specific things and like high stuff for everything else.
Yeah.
And I remember like grinding through and using the Bang Burger for to get there, and also just the amounts of studying I did in the fucking school to help with.
I never studied.
What? Oh, I studied all the
I
time.
studied
So
at the,
useful.
at the like cafe.
Yeah, I did.
I never did.
Oh, no, I was in the library.
The reason I was so into studying as well is because I think Makoto you need to be fucking smart. You need to be like 9 or 10, like maxed out.
I already was.
Brains.
So,
yeah. Fucking nerd.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I was in the library a lot. I feel like you got to bring in those books for the train rides. You know.
Yeah, I didn't find many. I didn't naturally find a lot of books, which I was surprised about.
Did you buy them from the bookshop?
I did.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that.
I think I bought all of them or almost all of them at that point.
That's the one near like the bar that you go to as well to talk to the reporter. Okay.
Over there.
Andrew also really tipped me off like early on. It became a very big thing for me, but it was like take care of your plant in your room
Oh,
for your stat
yeah.
boosts and everything.
Oh, I forgot about
Because you
that.
could feed it different fertilizer, and that would also depend on how much of like a stat boost you would get from it.
Yeah, and there's also the where can I think? It was like across the street from where you lived as well. The
Baseball.
there's baseball.
I got a
which
home
was
run on one of my
super-
first
The
things.
sauna.
The sauna.
Oh, yeah.
If you did
Which
it on a
is kind
specific
of
night.
weird.
It was if you
When it
did it on
rained.
when it
Yeah.
rained, you'd
When it
get like bonus XP and stuff. That was the best.
There was a juice you could buy as well in the not the mall, like the
Vending
shipping
machine?
station.
Oh, yeah.
On the bottom floor, I remember there is a juice vendor, and every day it would up a specific stat.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
The Shibuya Station thing, this is a bit of a tangent, but like I got to go to Japan for the first time last year, and I wasn't in Shibuya, but when I got to a train station, like for the first time we were just hanging around one night, it was like, oh my god, this is Persona. They actually did it. Like, they got it
this.
right. It was like, oh wow, it's crazy how realistic the parts of this crazy unrealistic game are at times. Yeah.
It's my goal to go to Japan and do like the Persona 5 tour.
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen people have gone around and be like,
Take
this is the
pictures.
neighborhood that it's definitely based on, and like you can kind of piece it all together, and I think that would be
Atlas should totally do
so
that.
cool. Yeah, if they did
Make it
like
a fun,
guided tours.
featurette
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
I would so do that. I'd be so excited. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, this is a question from Pink. Says, hey, KF/IGN/GameSpot crew. I added that part. I haven't actually played Persona 5, but Joker's inclusion in Smash Bros. Ultimate. I hope you haven't gotten to this part of the spoiler cast because it's going to be miserable for you.
It is called
it is
the
a spoiler cast,
Yeah.
no holds barred.
Yeah.
But in his inclusion in Smash Bros. Has piqued my interest in the game. The problem is I don't play many RPGs. My experience with the game is basically limited to Pokemon and Fire Emblem. I've heard the combat is very similar to Pokemon, but a 100-hour playthrough is a big investment, especially when there's so many great games demanding my attention. So on behalf of all the RPG noobs, would you recommend giving P5 a shot?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's always really cheap as well.
I think it's
always
$20
on sale.
right now.
Yeah. It's part of the greatest hits line, I think.
Yeah. I think its systems are super accessible, especially the way they like dole things out, because they really do space it out. Like it's a very complex game, but they take their time with giving you that complexity.
Yeah.
And especially if you are someone who has played Pokemon, I think you'll have like an innate sense of how to work with this game a bit.
Yeah. Besides Pokemon, this was like the first JRPG that I've given a shit about it since I was like 6 or 7 years old with Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 7/10. Those all I played all at this kind of the same time. So absolutely, because this brought me back into the world of JRPGs and then led me to other great games like Ni no Kuni 2.
Yeah,
Higgledies are lit.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
A reference to a Beyond episode that happened a year and a half ago.
That one beyond that we keep bringing up. Yeah.
Yeah. This was my like first JRPG, and I feel like the game does a really good job of like the tutorial part lasts a very long time, and you're like, wow, I'm still learning things, and I'm 30 hours into this game. But
sorry, go ahead.
I just think that it didn't feel too handholdy, but it didn't feel like I have no fucking idea what to do.
Well, I want to ask, like, it being your first JRPG, were you averse to the genre, or were you just not interested in it? Like, was there?
I just didn't. There wasn't one that ever really like piqued my interest. This one was sold to me on a lot of my loves of various teen TV show dramas.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this takes place in a high school, and you're like also fighting crime and bad people, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm super into this.
Yeah.
So it seemed right up my alley.
Yeah.
There, like I've seen other like. Tim always talks about Fire Emblem and all that shit, which I've never really gotten into. Though the new one that looks like very vaguely Harry Potter.
Yeah, like
I'm like, maybe I'll end up playing this. And like, I'm definitely way more open, right? Greg's like, wait, hold on a second. I'm definitely way more open to playing more, but the time required is like
it's an investment.
investment. But I feel like I know so many people that played it over like months and months and months. You don't have to do it all in one go. I think it's good, at least for me, to play different kinds of games as like palate cleansers.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with this game, I feel like the setup of it is it feels custom made to like if you want to take breaks in between. It's like beat a palace. Okay, if you take a break for 2 weeks, like that's fine.
It's like what you said. Like this game is 7 seasons of a show put into a game. So if you want to take a break after a palace, like absolutely, and then come back and you kind of remember stuff, and then you easily like go back into it. So
I mean, even the menu, like when the loading screen icon, take your time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm fine with
I
it.
want to get called back. So good. Is there anything in the game you would change?
Yes, absolutely. The handling of the LGBT characterization in this game, especially like the two older gay gentlemen, were always used as kind of like a punchline to a really shitty joke.
I forgot about that.
So I feel like you should either cut that or maybe like adapt their dialogue to something that's not as like, haha, gay people are fucking funny, right? That was always kind of like a tough pill to swallow. Just like, man, this is my favorite game ever, and it has just the worst characterization of LGBT communities out there. So it's just like
that was one of probably like the biggest criticisms leveled at it, like fairly so. But I do wonder if like with the Royal they'll go back and tweak that at all. Like it does give them the option to, but
I don't see that happening. But I hope it will. But knowing it's just Japan, the culture of Japan, I feel like has a lot of catching up to do in that category. So I don't know if they'll really be forward thinking with that. Hopefully they will, but they also are doing this whole thing with Catherine and that whole situation with that story. So I don't see the same company like thinking ahead of being like, oh yeah, maybe we should change that and like better fit like those characters and whatnot. And then also of like being able to date men as well. I think you should.
I think you should be able to date everybody.
There was in Persona 4 at least that people like data mined it and they found cut dialogue where you were supposed to be able to romance Yosuke. And they just never went with it for 4 and then again for 5.
Interesting. That'll be an interesting change. I'm gonna segue to a calling card from Andrew Goldfarb. There's a couple notes he passed along before he left. One thing that kind of ties along to this is Persona, the team that made 3, 4, and Catherine, that's what rang the bell, all left to make another game. So the team that's making Persona 5, The Royal, is a different one.
Interesting.
So we'll see. That I don't know. That could affect this. That could not. But if it's a different team, maybe that could help.
So they made 3, 4, Catherine, and they also
5.
made 5. Did they make the Catherine remake? Is the question.
I don't. That's not in his notes. I didn't follow that up.
Andrew.
We need you.
Why did you leave me?
So yeah, we'll see what. It's just an interesting note that like.
Maybe
if this
like
new
old guards
team
left.
could potentially update some of those things. Yeah, and I also, the localization too, I wonder, like if there's some...
There are some rough patches in there sometimes that definitely made me...
But yeah.
I do love some of it though, because like there are like really great... like, the voice actors I think are all great in it too, but sometimes they're saddled with like... Oh man, like they must know that the phrasing they're saying is not how English speakers would say that, but they still have to say it.
For sure.
Yeah.
They still give it their all.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Matthew Mercer, shout out.
He's so
as
good.
Yusuke. So good.
Yeah.
I love
it's
him.
so funny now, like I listen to Critical Role now and how many games he pops up in is just astounding.
Once you know his voice.
Yeah, like my girlfriend loves Critical Role, and so she knows his voice very well. And so we'll just be playing a game. She's like, "That's Matt." I'm like, "What?" That's Matt. I'm like, "Oh, okay, wow." And hearing his Yusuke, it's like, "Oh yeah,
yeah."
I love it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, let's go to a general question. Oh no, we do have a question. Jeff Lee wants to know: did any of you guys guess the twist before it happened?
In the Igor twist?
The Igor twist, yeah.
I knew something wasn't right there. I was like, why have you changed his voice actor to be something so different?
Another calling card.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Igor voice thing was really interesting, but makes more sense in the Japanese version because his famous longtime voice actor died in between 4 and 5. So when people started the game and he had a dramatically different voice, it was a surprise, but kind of written off as, why did they cast this? And then the twist made more sense. And in the Japanese version, after you're talking to the real Igor, all of his voice lines are reused from older games.
Interesting.
Because as being a Persona noob, I was like, this guy's creepy, and that's my only. I didn't have anything to compare it against.
Yeah, and then like the twist of, I would say also
Pancakes.
So, Pancakes. The what's his name?
Akechi?
Koro Akechi. That whole thing.
Ace Detective.
Junior Ace Detective. Pet Detective. That whole, like the whole buildup, like you knew something was going on. Yeah. It was just like, what specifically? I think there
what's
was
your
a
angle?
moment. I think there was like some sort of scene, maybe like a half hour to an hour before they revealed what the actual plan was, where I put it together.
Yeah.
Because there's like some sort of scene where they're testing something, and I was like, oh, I think that's how this happens.
Yeah.
And So yeah, I was able to kind of get that. Yeah, totally a Persona noob. So I did not put together the whole Igor stuff. But I remember Goldfarb telling me like, oh yeah,
the voice.
It's like a different voice actor this time around because of what you said, and then the Akechi thing I feel like was pretty obvious.
Pretty well telegraphed that you shouldn't be
trusting him. Yeah. You didn't know motivations or exactly why, but you're like, you're
like
sketchy.
literally.
I had no idea about the pancake scene. That
went over my head.
Same.
Really?
No, so, yeah, I had no idea.
Oh my God.
Did you know?
I immediately when he turns the corner, he's like, "Does someone mention pancakes?" I was like, "Whoa, hold on!" I didn't know how I was gonna play through, but I remember it's like only people who've gone to like mementos and stuff can understand Morgana. Morgana was the only one who said anything about pancakes.
Totally did not.
And how did he hear that?
It was such a throwaway line that I did not even think about. Well, for Morgana at least, I'm like, you always talk about like random shit.
Random
I don't know.
food. But I just remember in that moment being like, I don't think anybody else said pancakes. I think it was just Morgana. And again, I had no idea how I was going to play into the future.
But could you not imagine Ryuji being like, pancakes? Like,
yeah, that's true.
I think that's probably what I wrote it off as.
Yeah. So, and with that twist, I texted you before the show. But, there's a very funny story that happened in the IGN office with this twist. So Tom Marks on our team, he's been playing, he just beat the game recently, but he's been playing it. And before Andrew left IGN, he would come in every day and tell Andrew about what was going on. And there was one day where he came in and he's like, hey, has Akechi been to Mementos? Like, has he been there? Because he's the only one who caught that Morgana said pancakes.
Yeah.
And he told Andrew the scene, and Andrew wanted to protect the moment for him. So I was sitting across from Andrew. Tom couldn't see me because there's like a pole by our desk, but my face just went bright red. Like, I was like, oh no, he figured it out. And Andrew, like, I could see the panic in his eyes for like a split second. And then Andrew's like, wait, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, he says pancakes. And Andrew's like, I don't remember that scene at all. Like, Andrew was playing it off like
it wasn't important.
Like, that moment didn't matter.
Did not need to be dissected.
I don't think they mentioned pancakes in the game ever again. Like, he was playing it off, and he played it off so well, and Tom was like, oh man, I really thought it was something. And then when Tom got to the twist, he texted, I think he texted Andrew, he texted me, I think he texted a couple of people, and he just texted me, pancakes. And I was like, and it took me a second because it had been so long. I was like, what? Oh. And then, he came in the next one. It was so
Shout out to noted actor Andrew Goldfarb for playing that off.
All those days on Gossip Girl and 30 Rock really paid off.
I love it. We're going to segue. Do you guys have any other final thoughts on Persona? I want to talk a little bit about Smash and a little bit about our predictions and ideas for the Royal.
One fun question, if anyone remembers. Yeah. Do you remember your your Phantom Thief team name?
Ooh.
Like when you name them after you have the big buffet?
GameSpot, because I had to capture it.
On brand.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
I was so proud of mine in the moment, and I went in and told Andrew the next day, and I was like, you get it? And he's like, no, because I named them Heart Attack. Because you're the Phantom Thieves and you're stealing people's hearts, so it's an attack on hearts, and also because I had just been listening to Billy Joel a bit. And so that line was
Jonathon
stuck in my
Dornbush,
head.
everybody.
I based my JRPG names on Billy Joel. But I was like so happy about it. I was like, told Andrew, and he's like, yeah, it's good, I guess. And I was like, no.
Yeah, I don't remember. It must have not been interesting, or maybe I just did the Phantom Thieves.
Yeah.
I might have done something kind of funny related at that point too, but I don't remember. It stuck with me.
I just want to shout out a few key moments that always stuck with me. It's the moment where you think Ryuji dies near the end. It's very upsetting. I remember being very emotional and teary-eyed. I was just like, oh my, like I did not expect for them to go like do that. And then he comes back and then everything's fine. You're like, okay.
You're just like majorly on Team Ryuji. I had no idea.
Oh, I fucking love him. He's the best.
Great, I love him because he has a lot. Sorry, I almost left you hanging. He reminds me a lot of Kanji from Persona 4. Just a very hot-headed, blonde, spiky-head
very anime boy, yeah. And then when you think Morgana dies, that was also very emotional.
That was devastating.
When that happened, I was playing, and Alyssa had just come home from picking up groceries from like work or something. She texted me like, hey, like come outside and help me. And I just got into that moment, so I'm coming out like kind of like pretending not to cry. She's like, what is wrong with you? I was like, nothing. Morgana maybe just died. I don't know what's happening. And so yeah, and then the very, very end of the game, the true ending where they all like get together and bring you in and you do the drive along the coast. I was like,
the drive got me. Yeah.
Like he felt abandoned by his family, but now he found a family, and now he's leaving them, and it's too much.
It's a lot of feelings. I do have to give a shout out to Barrett, because even before I played Persona 5, before I lived in San Francisco, I used to crash it on their couch.
Yep.
And his PS4 theme was Morgana.
Those themes are incredible. Mine's
So
still
good.
on that you can buy it. It's so good. Like plays the music.
Yep.
I need to do it. But I remember being like really I was like, Barrett, just leave your like PS4 on like idle or whatever so we can do it.
You bought the soundtrack before you even bought the game.
100 because of
so
that.
good.
Yeah. The music, incredible.
It's great.
We're talking a little bit before we recorded about the vinyl or the second pressing, I guess, right?
Yeah, the IM 8-bit.
Yeah.
vinyl
And it's like
collection.
tie-dyed and like
each
or
of
marbled
the,
or whatever.
The slips for the discs all are basically their costumes. And it's like each of their outfits, but basically like stomach, chest
don't
area.
need
Yeah,
it.
like a
I don't
bust
need
of
it.
it almost.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
I want it. They do, all their stuff is so pretty.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Maybe,
done.
possibly.
I had like
need it.
blocked
Like,
it out of,
stuck
I
on
know,
there.
right? I had blocked it out of my mind until you guys had
Let's
brought
do
it
a
up.
follow-up episode, and so
After
then
the
we
Royal?
can expense it.
Oh, you make a good point.
Greg's not here; he'll never find out.
Nick doesn't know that we don't have a record player. It's fine.
I don't know.
Have you guys played as Joker in Smash?
Yes.
At all?
A little
No.
A little bit. What thoughts?
I think Tom Marks makes the very good point of no one associated Joker with a hook shot until this game.
Yeah.
It's been his thing in the office recently. That he goes on that rant.
He had a good tweet out today.
But yeah.
But yeah, besides, like, I think he plays really fun. It was tough going back to other characters because I felt like his play style was tough to unlock the spirits that come with him. So I had to like go back as like Donkey Kong and a couple other characters. But yeah, I think he's very fun. They did a lot of little details to like make it feel like Persona is really in this game. The stage is super neat. I didn't figure out how to unlock the Persona 3 and Persona 4 versions of that stage.
The music. Isn't it? Just change the music?
It's basically music.
Oh, gotcha.
Or you can buy the Mii fighters.
Yeah.
That probably doesn't do it. My favorite thing about that video is not the Persona part. It's where they're like Persona, like Joker and the stage and everything, and then they're like in the Persona 3 costumes and the Persona 4 costumes, and also Sonic the Hedgehog costumes. It's like, oh, okay.
Fucking Tails. Do it. And then I'm a little confused by his special meter where it makes him call Arsene.
Yeah.
Because I thought when they explained his moveset in the video, it was a similar thing to Cloud where if you do down B, it'll fill the meter. But I've tried holding down B and it doesn't do
it's not really a
anything.
thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a damage thing.
I think it is too.
I thought maybe something different would happen if Arsene was out while I did the final smash, but nothing different happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, man.
I do love that it's the all-out attack. That looks
so fucking
so cool. And
The
even
end
Yeah.
running through.
And you can apparently like change which end screen it is depending on like which like when it says game, if you press like right, left, or up, it'll change which one it is. So you've got the Morgana running into the screen. There's a similar one, I think, where he's just running. And then I think a third one specifically with like Ryuji talking over him or something like that. I forget.
I'm gonna have to play around with that.
But yeah, every time it like does the all-out attack or when you win as him, I'm like, I just want to go back and play Persona.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the little meter is like the SP meter, and I was just like, just these little touches where I'm like, I love it. You guys really care about us and want to cater to us.
All the little details in that DLC pack are my favorite parts. Like, because I took such a big break between Smashes, like Melee was the last one I really played. I'm just very bad at Smash.
Yeah.
So I was terrible. I'm like, I do not know how to play. Sorry, we keep high-fiving in front of you.
I just miss him so much.
You're fine. I like, I'm very bad at it, so I lost every match I was playing as him because I had accidentally the computers at like level 9, which didn't go well. But I like his moveset. I like the variability in it. It feels like pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
But it's every little thing about the stage, the music, the aspects of it around him that are my favorites, which I think sets a high bar for whatever they do next. But,
Also, Kirby looks cute AF.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's so good.
With his like swoopy hair.
I love the fucking meme that came back of like when he turns into Joker and he's got a gun and people are just screenshotting, Kirby's got a fucking gun.
Man. So good. Yeah, I haven't really played much around with it. I played like maybe 2 games and I was like,
No.
I don't understand any of this, but I don't hate it, and I'm determined. I'm more determined with Joker than with Isabelle. Of like, I would just really like to learn your moveset and be somewhat.
I don't know if
Okay with you.
if Smash ever comes back to the office because Smash.
I don't know that
fucking
we used
died.
to play. There was like a solid 2 weeks where everyone would just be like,
Playing
"You
Smash.
guys want to play Smash? You guys want to play Smash?"
So if it ever comes back, I don't know if he'll ever be a main for me.
Yeah.
Because there's like his specific moveset, like I really like, and everything you said, like I totally agree with, but like the way he plays, I'm not attuned to, so I don't know if he'd be a main over Donkey Kong and Cloud. But
he does feel like specific in a way that I felt like I really needed to learn him to be with him, and if I didn't put in that time, I just wasn't going to be able to work well with him.
Yeah, for
Still
sure.
need to get it. I kind of dropped off Smash so quickly because I went home and I was just traveling up and down the UK, and I was like, this game is less fun when you play by yourself.
No, 100%. I totally agree. Like, I haven't done really any of the like Spirit stuff.
I weirdly got super into the Spirit like story mode shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I get it. Speaking of Andrew, he would come in like when that game first came out, rest in peace, and he would talk about, he was like, yeah, I played through the first like half of it last night, and I'm like, how do you, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Persona 5 The Royal.
Yes.
Let's gauge excitement levels. What are y'all thinking?
Part of me stressed
Uh-huh.
because if they announce a Switch version, do I want to wait and play it on Switch? Will the Switch version have all the Royal stuff, or am I just going to have to replay it on PS4?
I think Switch is just going to be base game.
Do we want to jump to just do we think it's actually going to come to Switch?
It has to.
I'm still 50. So to give context, depending on when this comes out, we're recording this the day before
Wednesday the 24th.
we know what P5S is. And so I'm still 50-50 on it could be Persona 5 Stadium and it's just a fucking fighting game, or it's Persona 5 Switch version or whatever. Like I'm 50-50 on that. If it is the Switch version, I think what we're getting is base game, and
'cause I think
PlayStation gets the exclusive kind of like better version
Ultimate
of the
Game of the Year,
They
whatever
can't like
edition.
cannibalize themselves.
By putting it on multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I will absolutely play both versions.
I think I will too, but I think I'll only end up playing Persona 5 on Switch like when I'm traveling or whatever. I don't think it'll be like a main game for me when I'm home.
Yeah.
I feel like it also really depends on if it comes to Switch. It's hilarious how outdated we're going to be.
I know.
Tomorrow. We could put this out tomorrow and we'd be outdated, yeah.
If it comes to Switch and it's like 2 months before the Royal comes on PS4, like I'll probably prioritize the Royal.
Yeah.
I wanna see the new
That's
content.
another interesting thing.
But if it comes to Switch and it's like, and it comes out in June this year, then that's like a much bigger incentive for me.
Because that's a full, at earliest 6 months before it would come, and probably closer to a year.
Yeah. If it's one of those weird things where if it is Switch and it's Japan this year and then Western audiences next year, it'll be, I probably won't. It'll probably be a similar situation for you where it's like I'll prioritize the Royal, pick it up on Switch at one point, and it'll be like a fun travel game, and then. Yeah, if it comes out in the next couple months, your boy's getting that Switch version. Your boy's playing through the entire fucking game this year, and then going to do it again next year on the Royal.
I'm broken though, because my thought is, even if it comes to Switch, I'm like, if I'm going to replay just the base game, why don't I just play it on PS4 and get the Platinum Trophy?
Yeah, and then get all the new Game Plus benefits. Yeah,
exactly.
But you can't take it with you.
I know.
It's rough. This new character, girl, person.
Kasumi?
Yes. I think her characterization looks awesome, and her
so cool.
Phantom Thief outfit I'm very into. I'm interested to I didn't love any of the girls really in the game, like best girl. Like I really liked Futaba as like a younger little sister, but I didn't love Makoto or An or Haru that much. So I'm wondering if she's going to be like my go-to in-party love interest. Speaking of, I have another calling card from Andrew Goldfarb. Where is it?
Sorry, I had an alarm go off.
No, you're fine.
I have an alarm for the last 3 weeks because we've been doing these MCU recap tweets.
Yeah.
And I need to do those live.
Oh, yeah. Persona 5's last playable day is in December compared to Persona 3 going through the end of January and Persona 4 Golden running through February. So that's almost definitely where the extra content will come in P5R, probably an extra month or two or a new dungeon. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
I think I read that they've put another semester on.
So I wonder if that's if they're just gonna, because they do a lot of those time jumps there. So I wonder if it'll just jump you there because
Christmas or like Christmas Day or New Year's Eve or whatever, you literally jump to like Valentine's Day, and then after that you jump to April or May. I think
maybe
April.
they just fill those gaps with this because the end of the story does feel very like.
He leaves.
Definite.
So, like,
I don't think you can add
it.
onto there.
Yeah. It'd be really funny if like they all go to a new school and she's like the one student that they all like hang out with.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes sense to fill in the gaps the most. Probably. Yeah.
But if she is a transfer student that transferred at the same time as him, like I do wonder how that affects like the beginning of the game, or if she's just not
story.
When she would come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see her with like there's a screenshot of like you having lunch with her and Akechi.
Yeah,
she seems to be.
Do you know where
like,
they're eating pancakes?
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh, that's really
hell
good.
yes.
Very good.
Do we know when she transfers in? Like,
it's the same time as him.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like in the semester where she comes.
I feel like the fact that they said she's the same time, I feel like they're gonna try to embed her throughout the story a little more rather than just tacking her on.
So she's not going to be a playable character. You don't think they're not going to do a P3 with it?
No,
female playable.
That'd be. I would love to have a female protagonist.
I think she's just a new. I feel like they said this. I might be wrong.
She said she's a party member, right?
Yeah, she's a party member. It'll be cool to see what her persona turns out to be, and it'll be interesting to see like what her story plays out as, because the teaser trailer, right, from a couple weeks ago was like we assume it's her VO saying like she doesn't believe in the Phantom Thieves and like how they're doing things.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like what her story goes from. Like, is it similar to Akechi where she like joins them but has different motives and all that stuff? So I'm excited.
Also, maybe this is me being completely ignorant, and you can tell me with Persona 4 Golden, does the like subtitle Golden have any meaning to the content they added?
It was like a.
Or is it just based on the coloring?
Golden. Like, I didn't play Persona 4, I just played Golden.
Yeah.
It was a new dungeon, I remember that. And they added a bunch of...
like confidants.
Is that when they added the multiplayer?
Social links?
No, like the multiplayer-ish stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I'm just wondering if like the royal speaks to her in some specific way beyond a color scheme or something.
Oh, right.
Like if that's her
I don't think Golden
persona, arcana, whatever.
In particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know. I'm excited, whatever it is. I think it'll be the most interesting to see how they intertwine her in the core P5 story, if they do, and how that changes the dynamics of things.
And it seems like a lot because they have like straight up like animated cutscenes with her and stuff. So
yeah.
I'm interested to see like how important she'll be. And then there's also the other character, the counselor.
Hot counselor.
Yeah.
Hot cat.
And Hot Morgana.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's a fucking monstrosity.
This is a weird game with like a lot of the relationships with the adults of like in real life, like this is not okay to like date your teachers or like date your doctor. That's got to be breaking some weird violations.
Yeah. But then we're like, hot
but then
doctor.
we're totally into it. So that is like a weird thing to like juggle, but I just kind of chalk that up to it being a game.
But yeah, I thought the
guy is really hot. I do like the hot counselor.
And that was interesting because it seemed like there's just like a screenshot of him and on, so it'll be interesting to see if he plays a bigger story than just a social lane or whatever. Maybe. Ooh,
he seems like a good guy, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't know. It just in my mind, I immediately was like, oh yeah, that counselor's totally doing it with some of the kids. And it's bad. Like it's totally just.
That was already college years long.
I know, but it's like there was another surprise.
Oh.
And you're totally anti-hot Morgana.
I fucking hate it so much.
I love it. It's
so weird.
hot.
Like, it's weird, like, how hot. Like, I looked at the face, and I was like, I don't see it in my head of, like, the voice of Morgana matching that person.
No,
Morgana's
that
voice
definitely
is,
not.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. And it'll
And then
be...
he's going to tell you to go to bed.
Is that
So, like, is it going to be, like...
It's time to go to bed, and he's just sitting there.
So is that just going to be like one of his
hope that's not
abilities, or is that going to
Morgana's
be an
voice.
added part of the story where he can, like, has like a human form or something? Because I thought one of the other things was that Morgana was created by Igor to help you out.
Yeah.
So like it's weird that he has a human form because we're in a fucking spoiler cast.
We're an
Don't-
hour and 4 minutes in.
Like, I've never played
An
that.
hour and 4 minutes in. If you haven't learned by now, it's a spoiler cast. So it'll be interesting to see like how in the story they explain that he has this human version. Like, will it just come down to like a joke that happened, or
But is
like
he still looking at the end of the game to try and find his human form? So maybe
if
Igor made him
I
a
think
cat,
I don't-
maybe
He could make him a
can
human
make him
form.
A human.
Yeah.
That's a little too far fetched for me.
Yeah.
I'll take
That
too
sort of
ridiculous,
suspension
isn't
of
it?
disbelief is just too
But you
much.
fight God.
Yeah.
But-
Wheelchair penisman.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that was a rough one.
Hate 'em.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to see what kind of announcement we get tomorrow. If we get an announcement, we also
dreading
get
it.
Persona Q2 this year, which looks very cute. And like, maybe I should play Persona 4 before that comes out, so I understand like some of these characters and stuff like that. But
Did you play any of the dancing stuff?
I played a little bit of them,
Ooh.
but I just
So fun.
it didn't. I like the music, but it didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah,
I want more story.
I played all of 5, and that was the fucking jam.
I platinumed 4.
Oh wow. Hell yeah.
That was like that's my one Persona game.
You can say you have a Persona Platinum.
There you go.
Yeah, I think you
It's
totally
got Persona in the
can.
title.
Yeah, it works.
Totally,
But that
totally
one had
counts.
the wildest. They put a story into it,
It's like
and
a
it
full
was.
thing, right?
But nothing happens. You just.
Yeah.
Yep. Can I dance yet? Nope. Yep. Oh, I can dance for a little bit, and then everything's just sort of opens
They
up.
have all the
into
cool
back end.
costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remixes are good.
Maybe I just add
Persona
one more.
5 is
There's
like
a VR mode. I forget what it is.
oh,
but
it's
there's, like,
theater mode.
yeah, isn't
It's-
it like you just go into like their costume room and like look around?
Yeah, there's like
it's
you
so
can,
weird. Yeah,
It's weird.
That's just
there's
like-
a peephole in the wall, and
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
that's so
no, it's a
creepy.
strange like you can see their costumes. I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
But yeah, I would say going through Persona 5 version of it is super fun and worth it. Especially like hearing the remixes. There's literally one where it's not even them dancing. It's literally just the band and the singer. I forget her name.
Lynn.
Lynn performing it live. It's just like
that's cool.
their concert, which is fucking dope. I think from the big Persona event last year, 2 years ago.
Well, that's where these announcements are coming from. Is like
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
Persona
exactly.
concert, yeah.
There's one that's like a straight up music video. It's like fucking
Yeah. There are original
So
like
good.
music video sequences.
yeah.
where, like,
There's
they have-
one where they're literally like a boy rock band, and it's the fucking
There's some
best.
good ones in there.
Okay, fine. Maybe I'll also add that to my list, and maybe I just only play Persona games for the rest of the
I'm
year.
gonna go home and play both Persona Dancing and then Persona 5, but I have Infinity War to watch tonight. Damn it.
Do it simultaneously.
Yeah, I will.
If only it was on Switch.
Fuck.
Oh man. Well, on that note, thank you guys for joining me for our Persona 5
you, Jonah.
spoiler
Thank
cast.
you.
I'm sure at some point you'll hear us talk about Persona 5 the Royal, because it sounds like everybody
Stay
at this
tuned to Kind of Funny Games Daily and Gamescast and all that good stuff.
and
for
GameSpot and IGN
And GameSpot and IGN and all that
for
good
all
stuff.
the hotness. Maybe we'll add a
Beyond.
bumper to this,
Yeah.
depending on what tomorrow's news is. But
Beyond, and then what's your new series that you're working
Audio
on?
Logs.
Audio Logs.
Yeah.
First episode with Corey Barlog, right?
Yeah.
Very exciting.
I know.
Anything else? Anything else you guys want to pimp out there? Blah 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 blah.
Beyond 600 is happening at some point. I should start playing that.
Just don't
So,
do
yeah.
it.
Right, yeah, because that worked out so well the first time.
Yeah.
Everyone loved when
Just
that
go to
happened.
Everybody loved
$5.99
that.
to $6.01. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, and take your time.